And what I want to go over is there's 10 time wheels, okay? I believe it's 10 or 12 time wheels on the actual Earth, but I'm only giving you 2 time wheels. The East of America time wheel and the West of China time wheel, which is split in 12, okay? And I gave you 2 different time frames here. We gave you the summer solstice and the winter solstice, okay? And with the West being in the future time lapse and the East of America being in the past time lapse, there's a difference between. And then also what I also added was the Pacific split time and the Atlantic split time, which was split it into 212s, okay? The 212s is also considered to be the military timer, 24 hours, which is day and night, day and night. You know what I'm saying? When it's day in China, it is nighttime here. When it's daytime here, it's nighttime in China, okay? And that's stating that on the East Coast is how it works compared to the West of China. And when basically for the summer, okay, for the summer, the sunrise is, the average is about 5:30 on the East Coast, okay? The sunrise for approximately at around 5:30, okay? And this is the summer solstice. And when it sunsets is approximately around, like, I think 8:30, something like that, which gives you about 15 hours of sunlight during the summertime, right? And as you're getting this 15-hour peak, that's why it's peaked higher. When you go to the winter solstice, now what occurs is in the wintertime, the sun will rise at approximately around 7:19 to 7:30 in the morning, and it'll set at exactly 5:30. So when the sun was rising at 5:30 during the summertime, the sun sets approximately in the winter solstice at 5:30, which is kind of interesting that and which would bring you to about approximately 10 hours of sunlight, which will reduce aka the temperature, and this is how you'll get a temperature drop within the atmosphere, okay? So your temperature will drop due to the sun is not there's a shift within the sun, and maybe the sun is I'm not that far yet, but I'm approximately about this far so far. So there is a shift within the sun time, okay? So it's about 5 hours difference within the sun, with which would actually cause a temperature rise. So you'll get a rise of temperature, and you'll get a decline of temperature as you're going through these different stages and seasons. And what you noticed about the China summer and winter solstice is that the sun rises at approximately 5 o'clock in the morning during the summertime, and will set approximately about 7:30 p.m. For the summer sunset. And that'll give you approximately about 14 hours of sun, 14 hours of sun. And for the winter sunrise is approximately 7 a.m. Now it varies in certain locations depending on the location, as it does with the East Coast of America. So there was, I think Shanghai is like 6:41 for a sunrise, and so I put it at 7 a.m. because there's certain locations that rise the sun will rise a little later, depending on the location. So I put it at 7, probably is about the average. And when it was sunset, was approximately at the 5 again, which was about 5 p.m. or it states at like 4:53, but I would put it at 5 just to be on the safe side. And this would be considered to be the winter solstice of the West China. Um, and the time difference was 10. So it looks like that the east of America and the west of China both have around the same time when it comes to the winter solstice, but it looks like that the west of China has 1 hour less, approximately somewhere in that area, than the east of America in summer. Okay, so as far as how the temperatures between the temperatures, so you're definitely going to see a difference in temperature within the two different locations, and it'll have a different moisture, which will affect the different sides of the location as far as moisture and stuff within the air. You'll have different storm styles of how the storms approach the lands. This is probably why West China receives more typhoons and stuff like that. We receive more hurricanes towards the later part of the summer, which will come mainly from the Gulf, where where that moisture really is in that location, more than you would see it come from the Atlantic side or the East Coast side. It will mainly come up through the lower part of America. I can't tell you how it would be in China. I'm not in that location, but I believe there's like 10 to 12 time wheels, and they're similar to this. I was just bringing you this time wheel, but this is a very important split right here. Is the Pacific split time and the Atlantic split time, which is basically the 12 and 12 split, which will bring you to, that's why the clock only shows 12, right? But you understand it as a 24-hour clock system. God states that in the Bible. Okay, you'll have the greater sun and you'll have the lesser, okay, which is the moon. Okay, the lesser, which is when the temperature declines. So when the sun sets, you get a temperature increase. When you get the sun rise, you get, and it peaks, you get a temperature rise. That's why they call it sunrise. And then when it sun sets, you get a decline in the temperature, because the sun is declining and entering a night period where it will decline and bring more of a it'll bring moisture as well, towards, maybe it'll bring like dew. They call it dew, which is like water on the grass. Pretty much it helps water the flowers or stuff at nighttime, and also can lead to withering away of the flowers or killing of the season, which is your harvest season is pretty much over with. And this all occurs, it's all in the Bible, it's all spoken in the Bible as parables. Anyone who receives the parables and understands the parables will increase in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding based on, you can understand and break down the parables. They're not for everybody, just the truth. It's not meant for everybody.